Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, we'll talk about the responsibilities of the parents. So there will be another video on the role of the parent or the place of the parents and respect of the parents as it appears in the Qur'an. But today we'll be talking about just the opposite spectrum. What are the responsibilities of the parents when it comes to raising children? In this video is primarily geared towards the parents living in the Western societies, even though the same is applicable to parents anywhere. In the end, I will share the advice of the famous wise man, Hakeem Luqman, as it appears in the Qur'an, as he gave advice to his son. Parents are very unique, as we all know. We want everything good for our children. In fact, we want them to be better in all categories. I mean, if you think about it, we want them to look better than us. We want them to actually be more handsome than us, physically better than us. We want them to eat better, have a better living, have better education than us, have a better job than us, be more wealthy than us, live in a better home than us. And same goes with their education. We want them to be getting an A+. Anything less than A is not acceptable. And God forbid if they get a C or even if they drop out from school, we just about have a heart attack. But when it comes to our children following the religion and be close to God, do we expect them to get a great A? We have to ask ourselves, are we working towards our children getting an A or A+? Are we just happy that our children are not involved in premarital sex, they're not doing drugs, so we're just happy with it? So that's obviously very good, but is that good enough? Is grade D in religiosity and how close they follow the religion of Islam, is that enough for us? And when our children are young and they're asking for ice cream, especially at nighttime, when we turn it down, they're unhappy. But we have the benefit for their long term in mind, right? We know this is not good for them, then we say no, even if they're unhappy. Are we doing the same thing when it comes to religiosity? But are we doing the same when it comes to raising them on the principles of Islam, that we are worried and concerned about their hereafter or their long-term benefit? When it comes to our own religiosity, obviously a lot of the parents are very busy. They pray 5 times, they fast all 30 days of the month of Ramadan. They perform Hajj or Umrahs or go for ziyarah and so on and so forth. But when it comes to passing on this love of God and Prophet Muhammad and his noble family and his companions to our children, have we worked hard enough? Are we just happy that we are working towards our akhirah or the hereafter? Are we equally concerned? And as we have seen, we should be more concerned whether we have passed on the same amount of intensity to our children. Have we left it to just wherever the wind takes them? Or that they will grow and then they will learn just like we did sometimes. Like we were not as religious. Most of us were not as religious when we were growing up. But it was not automatic. We were living, for most of us who have immigrated to Western societies, we were living in very different culture. And our children are living in extremely different culture. So to think that they will automatically, somehow miraculously turn around, it can happen, of course. But are we... or were we equally comfortable saying the same or having the same type of mindset when it came to, say, educating our children? Like, fine, if they're dropping out, they're not working hard, but one of these days they will turn around. No, we were very concerned if they were not doing well in school. So we should be equally, if not more, concerned if we are not seeing our children achieve the same high standards when it comes to religiosity and how close they are to God. In our prayers, we often have this supplication, Rabbina atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina azabin nar, meaning, oh Lord, give us good in this world, give us good in the hereafter, and keep us away from the fire of hell. So are we asking the same and working towards the same for our children? Meaning, fine, we have worked hard for their goodness or wellness on this earth, in this life, but are we also asking and working towards their hereafter? And we have to ask ourselves, what's the most important thing for us as parents? It's the well-being of our children. And so well-being of their children in this world is emphasized, but are we also equally concerned about the well-being of our children in the hereafter? We are working hard to actually have a high place in the hereafter for ourselves. Are we going to be happy if we are in a high place and our children are not, or if they're in a lower place, or if, God forbid, they're not even there with you in that high place? And this is a reason for concern for all of us, should be a reason for concern for all of us. So back to the advice of Hakeem Luqman, who was a wise man. A lot of people think he was a prophet in Islam. So this is from chapter 31, which is Surah Al-Luqman. In the verse 13, it starts by saying, "Behold, Luqman said to his son by way of instruction." This is the advice he was giving to his son. "O my son, join not in worship others with Allah, for false worship is indeed the highest wrongdoing." So that's number one. Make sure that our children are not worshiping anyone but Allah. Then verse number 14 says, "And we have enjoined on man to be good to his parents. In travail upon travail did his mother bear him, and years twain was his weaning. Show gratitude to me and to your parents. To me is your goal." So this is a verse about being good to your parents. This is advice to the children. Then in verse number 17, it says, "O my son, keep up prayer or salah and enjoin the good and forbid the evil, and bear patiently that which befalls you. Surely these acts require courage." So teaching our children to be steadfast, persevere, and also to be courageous. Verse number 18 says, "And do not turn your face away from people in contempt, nor go ahead in the land exulting overmuch. Surely Allah does not love any self-concealed boaster." So this is about self-boasting. And verse number 19 ends with saying, "Be modest in your bearing and subdue your voice," meaning don't talk very loud. "Behold, the harshest of all voices is the voice of the donkey." So on the day of judgment, we'll all be responsible for our acts. The Qur'an says no one will bear the burden of another person. There may be one exception, which is how we raise our children. So we will be asked how we raise our children. And even if we were not accountable, like I said, would we be actually happy that our children were not in the high places that we aspire to be? I will end this video with a dua or supplication. May Allah show us the right path and the courage to stay on the right path. Allah give us the wisdom and the courage to show our children the same right path and make sure they are also on the same straight path. Ameen.